She'll never admit it, not to her friends, not even to herself, but every woman carries this quiet hunger. A longing not for flowers or compliments, but for impact. She wants to feel something that stops her breath, something raw, something real. Something that doesn't flatter her ego, but shakes her soul. And most men? They never make it that far. Because they've been told to be nice, to be predictable, to always say the right thing at the right time. But predictability doesn't ignite passion, it buries it. You weren't born to be forgettable. You weren't meant to be another name lost in her phone. You were built to leave a mark, to awaken something in her she can't explain and can't forget. Right now, good men everywhere are stuck, texting too much, giving too soon, hoping that kindness alone will spark desire. But it doesn't. It never did. Because women don't fall in love with effort. They fall for the storm you hide under your stillness. They fall for the contrast, the unpredictability, the man who doesn't chase but pulls. Today, I'm going to show you how to become that man. The one who flips the script. The one who doesn't perform for attention, but makes her earn access to his world. This isn't about tricks. This is about presence. About reclaiming your power without raising your voice. And creating 4 emotional currents that make her feel deeply without saying too much. If you're tired of being overlooked, if you're ready to stop giving everything and getting nothing back, then stay with me. What you're about to learn isn't just advice, it's the foundation of obsession. Number 1. She loves to feel intrigued. She won't say it out loud, but the truth is, she's drawn to the unknown. Not the man who explains everything, but the one who makes her feel like there's more beneath the surface. The man who pauses before he speaks. Who looks at her and chooses silence over explanation. Who leaves space in the conversation, not because he's hiding, but because he moves with intention. And in that space, she starts to feel something she can't name, something just out of reach. That gap you leave? It pulls her closer. Not out of confusion, but out of instinct. Because what she can't predict, she wants to understand. And what she can't control, she wants to earn. She doesn't crave full access. She craves the process of discovering you. Every moment you choose restraint, every time you say less than expected, you build tension. And tension isn't the enemy. It's the invitation. You're not being cold. You're being present. You're showing her that knowing you takes time. Now picture a man who walks into a room and says nothing. He doesn't need to fill the air with noise. He doesn't perform. He listens. He stands firm, and his stillness speaks louder than anyone's volume. She notices. Not because he demands it, but because she feels his gravity. That changes the dynamic. He's not chasing, she's drawn in. Not because he's mysterious on purpose, but because he carries substance. And that presence? It can't be faked. It must be earned layer by layer, moment by moment. Think about how many times you gave too much too soon. You thought opening up fast would build trust, that telling her everything would make her feel closer. But it didn't. She smiled politely, then slowly drifted. You felt her energy shift, and you wondered what went wrong. The truth? You gave her the ending before she read the first chapter. There was nothing left to explore. No questions to ask. No reasons to stay curious. Desire doesn't thrive on access. It thrives on tension, on mystery, on the quiet pull of what hasn't been said would win her heart. But what she really craved was the slow unfolding. The man who says, "You'll get to know me if you stay long enough." Because here's the truth. When a woman feels like she's figured you out, she stops leaning in. She stops imagining. And when imagination dies, so does attraction. You don't have to hide. You just have to pace the reveal. Let her earn each part. Make her feel she's unlocking something no one else gets to see. That's what makes you unforgettable. Not what you give, but how slowly you give it. And yes, there will be moments when she presses in. She'll ask questions, try to read you, maybe even try to pull truth out of you like a thread from a wound. And that's your test. Not to hide, but not to hand her the entire map either. When she asks why you're so calm, you simply say, "I don't speak about things that matter until someone shows they can hold them." And when she asks what's on your mind, you let the silence settle before you say, There's a lot there, but not all of it is ready for words. You're not avoiding her. You're inviting her to earn access, to discover, not consume. When she wants everything at once, you give her just enough to feel like she's unlocked the next door, not because you're withholding, but because you value the process more than the performance. Being intriguing isn't about playing games. It's about patience. It's about being the calm before the storm, and the storm no one expected. Because there's something magnetic about a man who doesn't overshare, who doesn't need applause, who can hold the weight of his silence like a crown. Think back. Have you ever had a woman who couldn't stop texting you? Who reread your messages? Who asked her friends, "Do you think he meant more by this?" That wasn't luck. That was restraint. That was your mystery doing the work you didn't say aloud. And that mystery, it fuels her curiosity. Not because she's playing you, but because human attraction lives in what's not fully known. When a woman feels she's figured everything out, there's nothing left to chase, nothing left to wonder, nothing to pull her back into the room. But when she feels there's always more, she returns, not for validation, but for discovery. So if you want to be the man she replays in her mind, the one she imagines beside her when she's lying alone, the one who makes her compare every other man to you, don't give her everything. Give her access she has to earn. Let her feel like knowing you is a journey, not a transaction. Your story should feel like a novel she can't put down, not a brochure she reads once and forgets. Every conversation is a chance to reveal just a sliver, to let her peel back one layer and feel that moment of, wait, there's more to him than I thought. That's how you build emotional tension. Not by faking anything, but by showing her that the man she's looking at was not built in a day and will not be given away in one. So, how do you live like this? You move slower. You answer less. Not to play hard to get, but because your life is already full. And you're not handing your attention to anyone who hasn't shown they can hold it. When you're with her, you ask questions that reach past the surface. And only after she's opened a door, do you open one of yours. You don't dump your past out on the table. You let her dig. And when she does, you reward her. Not with your scars, but with your insight. Give her your thoughts like fragments of poetry, your truths like keys, your energy like a rare invitation. That's what creates obsession, not desperation, not performance. Presence. The most unforgettable men aren't the loudest. They're the ones who know the value of silence, who move with weight, who speak with stillness, who allow others to earn what most men give away for free. Because the truth is, a woman falls not when she fully understands you, but when she realizes she never fully will. She falls when she senses that knowing you will take time, will take effort, will require her to rise into the version of herself capable of meeting your depth. And because people value what they work for, her emotional bond to you will deepen. With every layer she peels back, with every pause you hold, with every truth you delay just long enough to make it land. So live like a man who doesn't need to broadcast, who doesn't overshare, who makes the world, and her, earn every layer of him. Because the man who carries mystery with integrity is the one she doesn't just desire, he's the one she'll never forget. Number 2, she loves to feel challenged. She doesn't crave a man who agrees with everything. She craves the one who doesn't fold under pressure, who doesn't chase her approval. When you speak with clarity, calm but certain, you don't just impress her. You move something deeper inside her. A man who can disagree without becoming defensive, commands respect without asking for it. You don't have to raise your voice. You don't need to dominate the conversation. All you need is stillness. Stillness that doesn't seek applause. Presence that doesn't perform. And values that don't shift when tested. She feels it, not because you're being rude, but because you're being real. You don't reward beauty with instant validation. You let her feel that your attention must be earned. And that's what changes the energy. She leans in, not because you tried to win her, but because you didn't flinch when tested. You didn't change your plans to please her. You didn't laugh at jokes that weren't funny. You didn't break your own code just to avoid friction. And that kind of man, that's the one who lingers in her mind. You said no with peace. You held your truth without apology. And in that moment, she saw it, the edge, the boundary, the quiet fire. That rare balance of self-control and silent strength. And something in her woke up. Not fear, but respect. Curiosity. Attraction. Because women aren't drawn to compliance. They're drawn to conviction. The man who says, "This is who I am. Take it or leave it." And actually means it. He doesn't chase. He doesn't adapt to fit her moods. He doesn't shrink to avoid her disapproval. He holds. He leads. He listens, without changing his direction. And in that stillness, she senses security. Not the fake kind that pleases, but the kind built from purpose. She may test you. She may poke and push and challenge. But when you don't react, when you remain unshaken, she pays attention. She wants to know what you're made of, where that calm comes from, what you stand for. Because when a woman meets a man who refuses to compromise himself, something shifts inside her. And suddenly, you're not just another man. You're the challenge she didn't know she needed. Every small moment where you don't flinch adds weight to how she sees you. Not because you're trying to impress, but because you're anchored. You don't laugh at things that aren't funny. You don't rearrange your life just because she wants attention. You don't rush to reply when she sends a vague, dismissive message. Why? Because your time is valuable. Your peace is sacred. And your attention isn't something she can pull from you. It's something she has to earn. That's what pulls her in. You're not hard to get. You're hard to shake. And that kind of man is unforgettable. You're not aggressive. You're consistent. You don't need to demand respect. You live in a way that commands it. Because here's the truth. Women don't fall in love with convenience. They fall in love with conviction. Every time you calmly hold a boundary, you send her a silent message. I'm not here to be chosen. I'm here to choose. And that message, it changes everything. It doesn't push her away. It pulls her deeper. Because now she's not asking whether you'll accept her. She's asking whether she's worthy of you. She stops testing to see if you'll fold. She starts wondering what it'll take to rise to your level. And that's the energy shift most men never reach. Because most men are too afraid to say no. They say yes to keep the peace. They laugh to avoid discomfort. They bend their truth just to avoid being alone. And women feel that. They feel when you say yes but mean maybe. They feel when your boundaries are just for show. And they lose interest because they're not falling for you. They're tolerating the version of you that's afraid to be real. Ask yourself, when was the last time you silenced your truth just to keep her smiling? When was the last time you swallowed your standards just to avoid a little tension? Those are the moments where your power leaked, and she felt it. Because women are intuitive. They know when strength is real, and they know when it's just fear wearing a polite mask. So, how do you reclaim that power? You draw lines, not with volume, but with consistency. You make plans, and you keep them. You protect your routines. You don't abandon your discipline just because she calls late. You don't skip the gym, cancel your schedule, or hit pause on your mission just to reply to a craving for attention. That's not cold. That's clear. And clarity is attractive because most men don't have it. So when she sees that her emotional chaos doesn't disturb your internal order, when she realizes she can't pull you out of alignment, she feels something rare, safety. Not the safety of submission, the safety of structure, of presence, of calm. And in her mind, a story starts to write itself. He's not like the others. And that thought becomes a seed, a fixation, a new standard. She starts comparing. Not because she's petty, but because she's realizing most men are reactive. Most men shift with the wind. But you stand. You become the quiet voice she hears when she's with someone else. The one she remembers when other men try to impress her. Because you didn't have to try. You didn't sell yourself. You didn't chase her affection. You gave her something no one else did. A reason to rise. Now, will she push back? Of course. She'll test your patience. She'll challenge your silence. She'll question your standards. Not because she wants to break you, but because she needs to know they're real. And when she sees that they are, when you stay centered in the fire, when you don't trade your identity for her approval, something opens in her. She lowers her guard, not because she's defeated, but because she's finally met a man she can trust with her full heart. And when a woman trusts your emotional strength, she gives more than her words. She gives you her loyalty, her softness, her depth. And you never had to raise your voice to earn it. Only your standard. So, if you want to be unforgettable, stop explaining. Stop trying to convince. Stop living to be accepted. Start choosing who gets access to you. Because the most attractive men in the world don't chase validation. They carry values. And women chase that energy like oxygen. Not because it flatters them, but because it awakens something sacred inside them. And that kind of man, she doesn't just love. She fights to keep. Response 1. Here's your revised passage with corrected punctuation, improved flow, and enhanced clarity, while preserving the original tone and message, honesty. But she doesn't want a book with every answer written on the first page. She wants a story, with turns, with weight, with breath. She wants to discover you over time. Not because you're cold, but because you're real. Because you're not living to be liked, you're living with purpose. And that purpose creates a frame. A life that moves forward with or without her. Not to push her away, but to invite her into something bigger than approval. That's why you don't rush in. That's why you don't explain every decision. Because not everything you do is for her. Some of it is for your peace. Some of it is for your mission. Some of it is just for you. And when she realizes she's not the center of your world, but a guest in it, someone who has to earn a deeper place, her attraction intensifies. She leans in, because she's dealing with a man who won't dissolve into her desires. A man who doesn't need her moods to validate his meaning. That kind of man is rare, and rare is irresistible. Now pause. Look back. How many times did a woman lose interest after you became too predictable? After you became the yes man, the available anytime guy, the one who gave affection without invitation? The truth is, you gave her emotional closure too soon. And closure is the end of the story. But suspense, that's what makes her heart beat faster. That's what lives in her imagination. She doesn't want reruns. She wants something that unfolds in real time. And your job is to be that unfolding. To keep growing. To keep becoming. To be a man she can't fully define. Not because you're unclear, but because you're alive. You're evolving. You're moving. You're not waiting for her reaction to take shape. You're shaping your own path. So, how do you live this practically? You detach. Not from care, but from need. You care about her, but you don't need her to fill your identity. You enjoy her presence, but you don't panic in her absence. And when she notices that you didn't check in for a day, that you didn't respond right away, that wondering she feels, it's not stress. It's anticipation. And anticipation is where intimacy begins. It's the breath before the kiss. The pause before the music drops. The space where emotion builds. You don't have to impress her. You just have to leave room for her to feel something she can't control. That's the art. Not playing games, but moving with intention. Living with layers. Becoming the man she wants to explore, not the one she already knows. And when you let her wonder, you give her the one thing most men are too afraid to offer, a reason to stay curious. 4. The feeling of earned reward. Ever wonder why giving her everything doesn't work? You show up. You stay consistent. You text her good morning, good night. You compliment her every chance you get, and somehow, instead of pulling her closer, she pulls away. Here's why. People don't value what's free. Not in business. Not in friendships. Not in love. And especially not in relationships where a man gives himself away without requiring anything in return. When a woman doesn't have to work for your time, your approval, or your commitment, it feels less like love and more like charity. She might appreciate it in the beginning. She might even enjoy it. But deep down, she doesn't feel like she's part of something meaningful. Because meaning is born from effort, from challenge, from the feeling that she's earned your presence, not just stumbled into it. You become background noise. Safe and eventually forgettable. But flip the script. Live with purpose. Let your energy orbit something bigger than her. Make your time scarce, your standards clear, and your attention selective. Suddenly, she's not coasting. She's chasing. Not because you're withholding, but because you're requiring. And that requirement creates value. Think about it. Anything you've worked hard for in your life, you protect it. You invest in it. You rise for it. It's the same with her. When you stop handing over your validation for free, she starts wondering, what do I have to do to keep his attention? And that is where emotional attraction starts to deepen. Because now she sees your attention as a mirror, not of her looks, but of her effort, her consistency, her growth. She begins to associate your praise with progress. And suddenly, every word you say hits harder. Every compliment feels earned. Every moment with you feels like a step forward. You're no longer available. You're aspirational. You're no longer easy to reach. You're worth reaching for. This isn't about playing games. It's about reclaiming your standard. It's about honoring your presence by only giving it to those who meet your level. Because the man who gives himself away easily gets replaced easily. But the man who makes a woman rise to meet him, he becomes unforgettable.